back to Bit by Bit, here for another coffee break. I'm Janet, here with Jess.
Hi.
And today we're going to be talking about video game difficulty. So we're going to be thinking about and exploring how different games approach game difficulty, what we think like works for us as players, like what difficulty we select. Do we ever do we do a playthrough on medium and then go to hard? Like, what do we think about locked difficulties? And I know this will be super relevant too when with the Jess, I don't know how much you heard about the Breath of the Wild DLC packs, but in one of the packs, one of the things you get is a hard mode.
That's
like,
great.
The hard mode is but it's like in DLC form, so it's like
there's actually a few other instances of that.
Yeah, really. Okay, cool. So I guess I can kick things off. I guess we can kind of start with like how we play, and then maybe what we like or look for in things. So for me, I always play on normal. Woo! So yeah, I play on normal because I'm super basic, but I'm not so basic that I play on easy mode. So the thing with easy mode, it's funny because I try really hard to be like not like a jerk. I think everyone should try not to be a jerk about things. But for easy mode, I will legitimately say that I do wholeheartedly believe, and it's just not trying to be mean, I think easy mode it's for children, or if you want to just do story. Like if you're like...
That's why it's called story mode.
Yeah, sometimes they call it story mode too, with the labels. So those are the reasons that I think you should play on easy mode if you're like, and I think, Jess, didn't you, either you went through this or you suggested that I do it for like Mass Effect 1, you said just,
Dragon Age Origins.
Dragon Age Origins.
It's the first, of a different BioWare, IP.
It's all BioWare.
I think that is the case, what you should do for Dragon Age Origins. And it baffles me, because some people, like, they go hard for Dragon Age Origins. They're like, it's the best game in the series. And I'm like, no, that's not even remotely true. It's got all sorts of problems. It's all glitchy and weird. And, like, the leveling's strange. And sometimes you're, like, matched, it's not very fluid, And so a lot of times if you're fighting an enemy, in most games, it's a leveling factor, so that like when you face a stronger enemy, you're also a little bit stronger yourself. Like you're not fighting the craziest enemies at the beginning of the game. Sometimes in Dragon Age Origins, it's just like, why am I doing this? What's happening? There's no way for me to beat this right now, or whatever. And then other times, without changing the difficulty at all, other times, it's like dead, killing everything, So it's kind of a strange situation because it's like goes up and down so much. I got so frustrated with it, and I was really only playing Dragon Age Origins because I was trying to build a whole narrative from Origins to Dragon Age 2 to Dragon Age Inquisition.
Because it's one of those games where the story like carries over, kind of? Or?
Yes, it's not so much as like with Mass Effect where you're literally the same person each game, because you're different people in each of the Dragon Age games, but like world stuff stays the same. So if something happened in your universe in the first game, it affects the universe in the third game, and like your relationship dynamics or who can come into the game when you're playing later, so I wanted to go through, because I'd played Dragon Age Inquisition, so I wanted to finally go through and play the whole series and sort of get that effect. And that's why I was playing Dragon Age Origins. And honestly, I tried to play Dragon Age Origins first when it came out, and then like 3 times after that, and I quit every time because I was like so annoyed with like the way that it worked. And so to finally get through it so I could like play the rest of my games, I was like putting it on easy and like rolling through this game because it was that ridiculous. So I do recommend that if you're playing the Dragon Age series because you want the whole story effects, to put it on easy and beat it. It's interesting and fun in a lot of ways, and it's not like it's a horrible game story wise, but like mechanically it's not good. So anyway. Yeah,
sounds like a very traumatic experience.
It was.
Yeah, so that's a reason to play on easy. I haven't played on easy in a really long time because I haven't encountered a game where I had that situation. So I think, and the reason I have like this belief too, I think is because when I was really young, like really, really young, because as you guys know who have been following the show, me and Jess have both been playing games since we were very small children. So when I was a very small child, I'd play on easy. I'm pretty sure there's some games that just don't even have a mode either.
Yeah,
like, a lot of older games actually don't. They're like, this is Yoshi. And to be honest, it's actually already really easy. But as a kid, I thought it was so hard. So like
everything's hard when you're a kid.
I think I told this story on the show before, but what is it? Yoshi's Island. I was gonna say Yoshi's World. That's not Yoshi's Island. Yoshi's Island was super hard to me as a child, and then I was playing like a port or a different version, or like Yoshi's Island 2. It was like just a different in the series. Later when I was older, I'm like, this is incredibly easy. I was like, what are you having? And then I was thinking to my past self, I'm like, what's so hard, you idiot? Like, just move out of the way, get the baby back when you get hit. It's not difficult. But as a kid, it was difficult. So
for sure.
So I did use easy mode as a kid if I could. And then I distinctly remember at one point, I was playing a game. I don't know what game it was, which kind of kills a little bit of the story. But I don't know what game I was playing. But I sat down with my controller and I was with my brother. And whenever the mode screen pops up and we're both together, we always kind of have almost always have a quick discussion or confirmation of what's about to happen next. Kind of like normal. Like, you read hard and you're like, that's not me. I'm like too basic for this. Like normal, just keep it at normal. Sometimes it has different names. And I remember asking my brother, I'm like, should I do normal or easy? And he's like, you have to do normal now because easy is for children. So I was like, and it was like part of growing up. It's like, no, now it's time.
It's time to move on.
You're normal now. You're no longer, you can't do this anymore.
It's like bowling with the bumpers.
Yeah.
Yeah, like they're for kids, and yeah, there's some adults using them, and it's a little weird. And it's just like, fine, if that's how you want your experience to be. You're paying for this, like, so have the experience you want. But honestly, you're not gonna be you're not playing the same game as the rest of us. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's definitely that.
I mean, that's fine. So, and that's really the fact of the matter is, yeah, you're paying for this. You should enjoy it. It's just like bowling. You pay for your game. You should enjoy it. But like,
what though? Counter argument. Because at first I thought, I'm like, yeah, that's definitely true. You're not playing the same game. If you're bowling with bumpers, it's a different game than when you're not bowling with bumpers. I think especially because bowling specifically, like, you get that ricocheting effect that it can, like, still end up down the thing. But with easy mode, I think if you really suck, you might still be playing the same game as the people that are good. Like, legitimately.
That's true.
Because
it might still be as much of a challenge to you.
Yeah, because, and, I think of this in terms of, which is, one reason that I try not to be, like, too much, like, if you're playing easy and you're not doing it as a child and it's not just for the story, you just, like, legitimately are that bad. However you want to, if that gets you to the game, and if you can't, if it's, like, clearly that challenging for you, like, you're still challenged on easy mode, then you should probably be there. But I feel like there's, it's kind of a rare case, and that's kind of why I push people towards normal, or I suggest normal. But if you really suck, I think easy mode could be the same as, like, normal for, like, a person that is of, like, adequate skill level for the genre, because, I think of easy modes in some ways as, like, so, like, I have an ed background, and there's, like, modifications you can make for, like, any type of anything at any time. So it could be like, hey, and that's it, you can, and it doesn't have to be something formal. It could just even be, if you ever ask for a teacher for an extension on assignment, that's a form of modification. You may need that extension because you're a piece of garbage and didn't budget your time well.
You reloaded your save.
Yeah, or maybe you really did need it for some reason. Maybe something came up, death in the family. There are lots of reasons to mod things in ed. So I think of easy mode in some ways as a mod, especially because I don't know what you think about this, Jess, but, like, I feel like lately easy mode has become, or modes in general have become, a lot more nuanced in really good ways, I think.
Yes, definitely.
I feel like back in the day it was like easy mode, it's like less enemies, or like the enemies are like really dumb. Like they just, they don't
stand there and wait to die.
Yeah, or they can't like kill, something crazy. But lately I feel like easy mode has been a lot of like more blatant like mods to like accommodate your lack of skill in some area, right?
Sure.
So like, I think like with mellow mode in Yoshi's Woolly World, that one's like you're Yoshi, but you have little wings, so you can't really die because you can just fly away and it's fine.
Right.
Or Donkey Kong Country Returns for the 3DS, and I'm assuming the Wii U as well. Like the Wii U version, it has like, I was looking up the guide yesterday to try to see how many worlds I have left. I have 6 worlds left. I'm on world 3.
Goodness.
It's really long. It's really hard. And I was reading through one of the guides on IGN, and they mentioned that they have kind of an easy mode in that game, but it's not really neat. They call it new mode. So that's like weird. Classic Nintendo, right?
Yeah,
new mode.
Just stop making crap up, Nintendo.
New mode. But they have new mode, and what that is, I'm playing on there's like regular mode, and there's like new mode. And new mode, just like, it's the same game, like the exact same game. You just get a couple more things. Like you get extra balloons, I think, which are your like lives, in Donkey Kong. And I think you get a couple other like kind of extras.
Right.
But like it's like the same platforming, the same
you just
challenge.
have more lives, more chances
Yeah.
to try to get through it. No,
I
super agree with that. I think it's definitely more nuanced now, even when looking at like how hard mode has become more nuanced. And this is my interest in hard mode, because I've mentioned before on the channel, I believe, that a lot of times what me and my brother will do is we'll sort of like one life a game, like an RPG style game on the hardest mode possible. So that happens a lot with like Bethesda games, because they just lend themselves really well to replaying a lot. Where we'll set it on like legendary mode or survival mode for Fallout, and then if you die once, you have to delete your character and start over. And I think that what makes those a little more nuanced is not just like our additions to it, which make it more nuanced, but even just like, for example, in Fallout, the survival mode, which was added later. I don't know if it was actually part of a DLC or if it was like a system update.
In which Fallout?
Fallout 4. Okay. I mean, they have these modes in all the Fallouts, but this one specifically is for Fallout 4. And I think it was part of a DLC. It might have been just a general system update that everyone got, but I think it was one of the DLCs that we got for Fallout 4 added survival mode. And for Fallout 4, it was like pre-loaded on Fallout 3, I believe. And you have to eat and drink and sleep to live. So normally in Fallout you can run around and do whatever you want. You never have to sleep or eat. And eating replenishes your health, sure, and whatnot, but on survival mode you have to drink or you'll get dehydrated. You have to eat or you'll start to starve, and like it affects your stats and eventually can kill you. Same way you have to sleep or you'll get all sorts of weird, and on hard mode, if you're playing on the survival mode in Fallout, it can be difficult to do those things because they're scarce. It's like post-apocalyptic, like a universe you're living in, so like clean water that doesn't have radiation, hard to find, or like finding a bed not completely surrounded by super mutants, hard to find. So I think that's really cool that they do that, and that's like one thing I love. And I also really enjoy, I haven't actually experienced this myself yet, but it's something I'm looking to do. I just recently got the Skyrim, the like new version of Skyrim that allows the mods and everything, special edition.
Yeah.
And obviously Fallout 4 has mod capabilities as well. And one thing I haven't tried yet, but I want to, is using a whole bunch of mods that other people have made that make it more survival-y in a game. And so these are like innovations that other people are bringing to the game, but in a way that sort of works with the game system itself and is supported by the game. So like I think some of the ones I've heard about are some of them, like, they sort of enforce the system that my brother and I sort of do on our own. Like if you die, well, there goes your save file, or you can't re-access that character. That's a mod you can add to some of those games. Other ones have it so that you can carry around like a sleeping bag, or like they make things a little bit more hunter survival-y, or they add different levels of difficulty in there, and that's something that modders are doing as well, which I think is really interesting, because obviously the gaming world is very interested in game difficulty as a concept, and like how to enhance your experience. And for me, I think the point of playing something on a hard mode like that is to really like make your narrative experience of a game more fulfilling. So I think that's a good capability for game difficulty.
When you say narrative experience, do you mean kind of like, what do you mean by that?
Okay, so for example, I actually wrote a blog post about this back in college when I was doing an independent study on narratives in games, and I was kind of focusing on the Mass Effect universe for that. And one of the things I had discussed in general, even though it's actually not that relevant to Mass Effect as opposed to like other games, is how game difficulty and challenge in a game enhances narrative. So if, for example, if you're playing the game and you're Shepard in Mass Effect, and you're like, I gotta save the universe, like shit's getting really real right now, like everyone's dying, or whatever, and except for like you're running through the game and you can kill everything really easily, it doesn't feel like a pressure on you. It doesn't feel like a stress. Okay. It doesn't feel like you need to be the hero. It feels like you're invincible. And feeling invincible nothing feels real. And it's not real. It's a video game, but we like video games to feel real in a lot of ways. I think that's why people play RPGs for the most part. It's a role-playing game. You want to be in the role. And having challenge and difficulty in the role of your character really kind of helps you to enter the game space, I feel like.
Okay. Cool. That's not where I thought you were going with it, but I'm really intrigued by that, and I think that's a good argument for game difficulty, like in video games, whatever that means for you at your skill level. what I thought you were gonna go with was like the like other side of game narrative, of like personal game narrative. So like there's the actual like, you know, the narrative of the story and you getting immersed in that character, what they're going through, you know, in what's the name of the guy from Resident Evil 7? Is it Ethan? Right?
Evan? Ethan. No, it's Ethan.
Right, so like, you know, getting immersed, getting like, you know, really feeling like you're Ethan and that you're in the, you know, like, and that's why it's first person. There's like lots of ways to immerse in the narrative or connect with like the player's narrative. But then I also think of game narrative as like what's going on with your like experience of the game. Like, and that includes like you being aware that it is a game. And for me, that's kind of like the stories that come up on like the game itself. So, you know, and we went through this when we marathoned Resident Evil 7. If you haven't checked it out, definitely, you know, check out, we have the video and the podcast up for that, where we talk about that experience. And for that, you know, my favorite part of playing that game wasn't necessarily like what was going on in the story, though I did really enjoy a lot of things about Resident Evil 7, story included. It was like the crazy little things that happened while we were playing. Like it was like,
right, like
but like
nutty stuff.
Yeah, and also like being able to like react like to that as a player, like aware that I'm a player, you know, alongside you who's like also playing it and be like, oh my god, look what just happened, you know.
Yeah.
And for that, I'm very aware that like I'm in a game. And the interesting thing about playing that, you know, marathon style with you and like talking it through as two people that have played a lot of games is that we were like very, you know, aware of that it is a game, it's a game in this genre, it's a Resident Evil game, and using all that knowledge and bringing it in and like voicing it. So even though like we spent a lot of that game being like in some ways like detached from the game, like just in the way that we were interacting with it, that was like a really rich like gaming experience like for me as a player. So I think and that comes through the difficulty of it, right? Like we wouldn't have that I don't know if I told the story when we did the Resident Evil 7 podcast and video, but my favorite moment in that entire game was when you were running away from, what's the name of the dad kind of
like
character?
Jack or
Jack,
something?
yeah. You were running away from Jack, and because I don't think we really had any weapons at the time, and you went into the bathroom, but obviously it's a dead end. So, but you walk into the bathroom and like he's clearly following you. He will open the door of the bathroom, but I'm like, you know what? Hide behind the door. When he opens the door, you know, if he goes straight, you can just like, you know, move around and leave, and then, you know, you just like dip and then you kind of, you know, pull the okie doke on there, and like so you hid there. I think my brother was around too at this time, and you know, our mutual friend Catherine, Jess's roommate, my friend, was also there. So everyone was kind of, you know, witnessed this thing and like, what, you know, will this work? It's just crazy enough to work. It didn't work at all. He immediately looked behind like he opened the door and immediately turned and looked behind the door. Like that was like an amazing AI moment. You know, one of my favorite moments ever, you know, in like...
It was terrifying.
Yeah, it was great. And then that's like that's not necessarily something that like, but that like, you know, that's related to the game's difficulty. Like just the,
right, because
the smartness of the AI.
Yeah, but because if you have like stupid enemies, you can do whatever you want. No, and I think that there is a level of, you know...
Even though
personal
we played on
narrative. No, we did, right. Yeah. And you can play it on a harder mode, and maybe I will.
Was it? I think it was locked.
I think you have to. Most Resident Evils, I think you have to play normal, beat it, and then go back in hard mode, whatever. And I get that, and that's fine. But I think that I don't think all games need to immerse you. I think if a game's trying to immerse you, game difficulty can be an interesting factor in that. But then there's other times where game difficulty doesn't work well, and it takes you out of the experience in a really negative way. And the first thing that comes to mind for me is Evil Within. And I have not beat this game yet, and it's so frustrating to me because it's a hard game. And I don't mind that it's hard, but the worst part about it is that every time you die, like you lose so much progress. Like I'm like, what the heck? So like I'm like, but I already did all of this. I shouldn't have to go back and like kill 80 people again and then unlock this. And I'm like, I just need to like be able to experiment with what's going to work best, but I don't want to experiment because
Can you kind
I'm
of
gonna start over.
Give a quick recap on like what is the Evil Within? Like I know it's like a
sure.
It's like scary. You know, I know the box art, right? I think most people do.
I mean, it's basically, and I am not that far into it yet, but basically what has happened so far into where I'm at is I'm like this cop dude, and I'm going into this hospital because like some crazy stuff's going down at this hospital. There's like a serial killer or some sort of like nasty bloody stuff's happening, and I go in there and I don't know what happens to me, but there's some like weird magic-y like death demon stuff going on, and I get like wheeled out of the hospital and like taken by my friends who are with me, and we're driving and stuff's falling off the world, and then I end up in this weird town. I don't know where any of my friends are. Some weird lady's like injecting me in my dreams with stuff and like And I have to kill all these people who are like kind of zombies, but not really zombies. Like there's something wrong with their head because of like something that got put into them. It's so that's Evil Within. And there's a lot of really scary bad guys and like big, you know, like big bad guys, and that's fine, except for like I said, it's like I don't mind that it's hard. I'm like, okay, I like the challenge of this, but after I'm playing the same scene for the 50th
so how does
time,
how do the saves work in that? Like where, like why does it end up being the same thing over and over again?
I don't remember exactly because I haven't played it since January, so I was like, I'll come back to this in December because I have to beat all the games I start in 2017. That's one of my goals. I've referenced it in other videos, so this game has to be beaten before 2018. But I'm going to come back to it. I don't remember exactly how it works, but I think that like it's mostly like autosave features, and I don't think I can save. I don't think I can save like during like certain parts. Okay. So I don't know. I don't remember exactly how it was, but I remember it being very frustrating. And I think when game difficulty just becomes frustrating, and it's not like frustration that fuels anything, it's just like, you're bad, you suck, this, you know, you won't enjoy this game. Like, that's not good.
Yeah. And I think on that note, something that comes to mind for me is a game I've talked about a couple times in this, on this series, on this Coffee Break series, which is an indie game called PID.
Oh my god, PID.
It's so fucking hard. So you can like check that out, and I think that was in Darkest Moments in Gaming.
I'm sure it was.
Yeah, it was.
No,
so,
it was.
Yes, yes, it
had to be.
So we got a video up on that, and then the podcast as well. Definitely recommend checking out the video version because I put in a clip of the part in the game that was so hard, harder than anything I've ever. And why? Why was it like this? I don't understand.
No, I love that one because you were like texting me and Catherine. We were out of town or something, and you were like losing your mind.
It was so awful. I remember that I like went in the hall. I got Gatorade. I like went, you know, whole other level of like psychology that I just went to. But the thing with that game, funny story with that game actually, it was the first game I ever attempted to play on hard mode. I just because I'm not a big replayer of games, which I think we've also talked about on the channel, in the / podcast. But for that reason, I'm not against like locked to hard mode. I get that makes sense. It gives you a reason to replay. But I'm like, I barely played it the first time, you know. Right. So it's one reason I haven't done hard mode, and you know, and like there's a lot of reasons I haven't done hard mode. I just feel like it'll be too much, kind of. But for this game, I just felt like, you know what, I'm going to try this on hard. And I played like a good like third of it, like a good chunk of the game I played on hard mode. And then eventually, like, it's a pretty hard game just in general, mainly because your character is really weak. Like, you're a one-hit death character unless you're wearing, like, you can get these little vests. And that'll give you like an extra, you're like a cute little kind of chunky boy. So it's a very beautiful game. It's a very good game. It's a very hard game. But I like recommend checking it out, sort of, if you want to like put yourself through that. It's got a lot of great things going for it. So you're like a pretty weak character, and after a while, like it was like a normal part of the game. Like it wasn't even a boss, I don't think. But I was playing it, and I'm like, you know what? I'm not at this level. Like so I brought it back down to like normal, I think, or whatever, because I don't even know if there was an easy. That's another thing I really like. I really like / I think every game should have. The ability to change after the fact. Some games lock you in, so I don't know. It's kind of a lot of pressure. I feel like that's less
common now, but I think especially back in the day, it was like, you have to pick this, and it's your life forever. And it was like, whoa, can I have some time to think about it? You know, do a little, I don't know. I think it's a little weird.
Yeah, so, right. So, but it's a game that in general is just, I think, a little bit too hard. So, yeah, and I think it's interesting, too, how games kind of work around that as well as a form of difficulty. So they won't necessarily, like, maybe they do have modes, but even if they don't have modes or, you know, they do or they don't, I've noticed some games, especially Nintendo games, because we all know Nintendo is, like, the most, like, kid-friendly company of the, like, the three main ones of Microsoft, Sony, Nintendo. Nintendo is, like, very kid-friendly. And they have, like, they've started to build in, like, these things where you can, like, just skip stuff if it's too hard for you. Like, you can just skip that level. You know, I don't know if you've seen this in games.
No.
And, like, yeah, I think Donkey Kong might do it. I don't remember. But I know Mario, like, 3D Land definitely does it. That's, like, a light definitely, because I haven't played it in a while. No, it definitely does it. And it also has a thing where, there's also, like, kind of the suggested almost bring down the difficulty things that
like,
always...
do you want to, like, they'll pop up and...
Yeah, like, remember, there's also, like, this happened with me and my brother playing Woolly's World together, which is a pretty challenging game if you're playing the way we are, where you're trying to do more of the collectibles. Like, our goal is to get all the smiley face flowers. And that's pretty hard to do. It's, like, a pretty challenging game. Like, it's a really good one. But, like, I think at one point they're like, remember, there's mellow mode. I'm like, I know there's mellow mode. Get out of my face, or for Mario, 3D Land and World, if you die like a bunch of times, they'll start you off in the level with like, a magic item box just appeared. Oh, look, it has like an invincibility star that never fades away. And it's like, and it's definitely good.
There's a catch, and then they reel you in.
Yeah. No, there's no. It's just like you can just float, like, or you get a Tanuki suit, like a super magic powered Tanuki suit. You can just fly over the whole level and just be done with it. Which
those are made for. That's made for people who are single children. That's why. They don't have any siblings, because your sibling can't come in here. Like when I played Resident Evil when I was a kid, every time I'd be like Sam or Mike, but usually Sam because she was better at it. I was like, you gotta come in here because I'm about to go through the hallway where the dogs jump through the window and I can't even handle that crap. So you have to come in here and beat these dogs for me because it's at the beginning of the game. I can't do anything else until you beat these dogs for me. So that's for people who don't have siblings, and I think that's nice.
Yeah, I think it's definitely nice. It definitely stings when it's suggested to you.
Yeah,
and
as an
you're
adult
like,
who's like,
yeah. And then also like I feel really defensive about it because I'm like, well, the game doesn't get the level I'm trying to get at. I could beat the level if I wanted to. I don't want to. I want to collect all the coins, or whatever. I'm like,
they don't understand.
I'm like,
that,
it's not that I suck. I'm just on a different stratosphere. It's like I'm going. The goals I'm trying to achieve are higher than what you think I'm going for.
I'd say, I mean, even just wrapping up, I think one of the best examples of like a game that is difficult but highly enjoyable for me is Super Meat Boy.
You want to talk about that? Why? I was going to bring it up.
You know why it is? I was thinking about it because it's like, you have to replay it a lot. And really my problem is not replaying. And I was thinking about why I hate Evil Within so much right now. And maybe I'll change my mind when I eventually beat it, but I don't think so. So the reason why Super Meat Boy does that better than Evil Within is because Super Meat Boy has shorter levels.
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm like, I gotta replay this like 5-second clip again, but so what? And then versus Evil Within is like, I just lost an hour of my life. Yeah. That's like a huge difference. And I think that makes it like challenging, and it lets you like, okay, well, I'm gonna try this now, or I'm gonna try this now, or this first part worked, and now I have decisions A, B, C, D to make once I get to this part to try it, and then you have to try them all out, and then I love at the end, and they make it like part of the game, like how many times you die. I love at the end at the level where all the Super Meat Boy just like flow through and just like gets shredded because it shows how many times you died.
And it I think, and that game does such a great job. One of my favorites like ever. So good. I love it. It's like one of the few games that I did beat.
It was one of my first indie games ever.
I think it was my first indie game ever because I'm super basic. I didn't know about Steam or indie games really as a thing until I was like a freshman in college.
Okay, I didn't know about it until you told me about it, so I'm more basic than you.
Yeah, I watched I'm that person that watched Indie Games the movie, and I'm like, oh my god, my life's different now. Like,
and then
that
she
was
showed
me.
It to me.
Yeah,
it was great.
But Super Meat Boy is super great because it it does that. It very much it celebrates its difficulty, and its difficulty becomes something to rally around. Kind of like so I think there are games that like if your like game culture is built around the difficulty, but in a way that feels like some way positive, I think it ends up working. Like, I can't speak towards Dark Souls because I've never really tried to play a Souls game. I don't think I'd like them, having played just a small chunk of Bloodborne, which is kind of like in that
same area.
In that whole vein. Like, I don't think it's for me, but I think it's cool that like the Dark Souls like fan community is like so like in love with like that process and with the difficulty of it, and it's like its thing. And then and I think it'll be interesting to see in that sense, in terms of difficulty, how a game like Tumbleseed does. I don't know if you've heard of Tumbleseed yet. It
sounds familiar.
Very new. It just came out. It's an indie game. I believe it's an indie game. It's available on Switch and I think a few other platforms as well. And it's a roguelike, but you're a seed. So I haven't played it, and I don't think I'm gonna play it after hearing more about it. But like, you have to. It's just like really hard, and there's like a bunch of enemies, and then like some of the items can also kind of hurt you, and they're kind of trying to do that Binding of Isaac thing in terms of the items. You never know, it might take half your health, but it makes you really, but it. From what I've heard about it, having like listened to like IGN's Nintendo voice chat and stuff, it just sounds like it's really trying to like build. It sounds like it's trying to build its fandom on like the hard part, but like maybe it won't like resonate quite as well because you kind of have to, you got to do it in the right way. You can't just say
very
like
complicated.
Oh, my thing is that it's really hard. Like you kind of have to like, I think you have to have a motive that's different.
You know what else
than
is
that.
really hard? Quap's really hard. And
Quap is great.
Quap is great, but no one else can make Quap now. Like the thing with Quap is like I'm not gonna sit there and try to be good at that for like 50 hours of my life. You know, like so.
I love Quap.
Quap is fantastic. It really is. And once you figure out the trick to it, it's not that hard, and you just kind of hobble along. But like you can't. I feel like you can't just have it be difficulty. Quap is kind of like, it's stupid funny too, and that's part of its thing. It's just like looking at this guy. Did you see the cosplay I think I posted?
Yes, I was well I've seen that before.
Good.
I didn't even like see that you posted on Twitter, but
of
the guy in the tracksuit
and he like goes down on his knees.
Quap is great. If you haven't checked it out, check it out. I think everyone already knows it, so we don't have to explain it. There's also Clop, which is the same thing but with a horse.
I feel like it was a runner. It's funnier.
I like it with the.
But
the horse is
legs.
funny because it kind of. I'm not sure if it uses like the same. I assume it uses the same keyboard mapping as Quap does, but yeah. So anyway, So it's some game difficulty. Didn't think we'd end on Quap, but I'm glad we did. I think we should end every video talking about Quap. I can't wait till like way down the line and we get like more stuff and time and set up all these things and we can do more stream stuff because I would love for us to play Quap.
Stream Quap all day. 24-hour Quap stream. Go.
Oh god. I cashed in all my sick days to play Quap and eat Little Caesars pizza. That's what I want to do.
Yum.
But yeah. Isn't that their thing? Isn't it? Isn't Yum? No, that's Red Robin. What's their thing? It's pizza. Yeah. So
on that note,
okay. So thanks for checking this out, guys. Be sure to let us know what you guys think of game difficulty. Where do you start off? We could have talked about this for like hours, but we want to keep it brief. So where do you guys start off with game difficulty? How do you like build towards progression in game difficulty, which is also something that we didn't get time to touch on, but. What do you think about different modes? What do you look for in your difficulty modes? How do you feel about DLC being like how you access those hard modes and things like that? Your favorite examples of a hard game, your least favorite examples of a hard game. What do you think it takes to like have a game be hard but like to still get it right with players? Like what does that require? What does it look like? So let us know in the comments below. You can also hit us up on social media, on our Twitter or our Facebook if you want to get in touch.
There's a Pinterest now too.
Yeah.
I don't know if we mentioned that in our last video. I think we did, but like it still exists, so check it out.
Yeah, so our, let's see if we can get this right. Okay. We should just write it on a card, but we haven't yet, so I don't know why we're not doing that. So you can follow us on Facebook and Pinterest at Bit by Bit Gamers. And then our Instagram and Twitter is Bit by Bit Gaming.
Yes.
Right? And we also just launched our website, which is super awesome and exciting. And that's 100% bitbybitgamers.com. And you can go there as like, it's just basically a big hub for all of our information. So you can easily link to any of our social media.
Videos.
Yeah.
Links back to our podcast. Eventually going to introduce some blogging on there.
Yeah.
So check it out.
Yeah. And as we launch more things, we'll be posting, announcements, all that stuff on there. But if you're looking for like, where do we find like literally everything about what we do, who we are, why we do it, that'll all be on bitbitgamers.com. The about, inspiration, videos, all of our socials, everything's linked on there, so definitely check that out.
Yeah, and guys, thank you so much for watching our videos, listening to our podcast. We really, really appreciate having you part of our audience. Make sure to give the video a thumbs up or give our podcast a rating. That's really important. If you feel like buying us a cup of coffee, because obviously we drink a lot, we have a Patreon set up now.
Oh, not Patreon.
Not Patreon, sorry. I meant, what's it called?
It's called Ko-Fi. So we eventually will, Ko-Fi set up spoilers, now. We're hoping to eventually launch a Patreon, hopefully in the fall. So keep an eye out for that. But in the meantime, we have this thing called Ko-Fi. If you're not familiar with Ko-Fi, it's kind of just like a little tip jar. It's like $3 to buy a cup of coffee. I wish you could change that, but that's like the lowest it's set to.
Because honestly, my coffee only costs $2.
Yeah,
and also I could tip my barista.
Yeah,
with
right.
Extra $1.
So see if you guys can donate to that. Right now, I set the goal at $200, and I put what that would be for. So it would be for launching a new series, getting some lighting, and you know, a little bit to cover like the taxes on that, is what the 200 will be for. We'll be doing those things regardless anyway, but
if you want to see them sooner,
the quicker we get the money for it, the quicker we can do it. I have like, you know, my little savings set up for it.
Yeah, we got a little bit in, so.
But yeah, so if you're interested in doing that, that's going to be Ko-Fi, which is ko-fi.com/bit-by-bit. You can also find that on the website. Basically, everything is linked to everything. So yeah, we will try to make that spiel shorter in the future.
We'll work on it.
But for now, thanks for checking us out, guys. Be sure to let us know what your thoughts are, and we will see you next week.
Thanks. Bye.